Because it was the 4th of July, it was especially packed this year. Organizers say it was the largest turnout they've ever had. The search started and ended in this area as about 50 people searched back behind this tree line in this private property behind me. I talked to one Columbia woman who says she applied for help with her heating bill last winter, but got this notice telling her she's ineligible. Fighting intensified in several cities across Syria today between government and rebel forces. Anyone who weighs 90 pounds or less needs to wear one of these life jackets out on the water. A handful of servers were reportedly adding automatic tips to the bills, but only for certain customers. But you don't even have to walk all day on the treadmill desk. All you have to do is press a button, and the desk lowers enough for you to sit. I'm here at Clover's Natural Market, where you can buy organic produce like these pears, but it doesn't look much different than this one from Hy-Vee. Now, organizers say if you've never been to an Honor Flight homecoming before, this is the one to attend. This stake marks the spot where the city first wanted to install the new water pipe. But as you can see, it's right in line with this tree. Dale Lang wants to keep this tree and another tree across the yard in his front yard still, and he says they're about 100 years old.
The proposed water line is going to go through the tree.
Dale Lang says he's enjoyed the shade from his trees since he bought his house 5 years ago.
One of the things that was aesthetically pleasing to us was that there was shade tree. We spend a lot of time on our front porch.
He's concerned a new water pipe in his yard could kill them.
They would eventually die, and they'd often be cut down.
He's talked to the city council and a city engineer.
He's been very, very cooperative in talking to us about stuff and redesigning some of the plants and stuff and bringing the line down from 10 foot into it to about a foot away from the sidewalk.
The new pipe would stretch about 4.5 blocks. The problem is, Fayette is more than 100 years old, and the mayor says it needs repairs.
You have to replace a lot of the mains that are leaking, and we have pressure problems, so we're trying to get the pressure up and the leaks stopped.
Officials say they don't want to hurt the trees, but there may not be another option.
It's not really a choice of where we put it. We've got to put it where it's got to go.
Since the pipe would be on his property, Lang needs to sign off on the project, but he needs a guarantee.
Been here for a long time. Would hope to see him, a lot longer.
Now, Lang expects to get that guarantee later this week when he meets with engineers. One Columbia woman spent the afternoon with this front door open. She wanted the breeze from outside to cool her apartment because she says she's already paying too much on her electric bill, and she doesn't see any relief in sight. Lisa Koopminers and her grandchildren sat outside their Columbia apartment this afternoon. She doesn't want to turn the air on and raise her electric bill.
It's actually doubled since last month.
But fees could get worse after the Columbia City Council discussed rate hikes. The fee to disconnect electricity could go up from $15 to $25, but one city councilman proposed an amendment to keep it at $15. The council also expects the base electric fee for each household to increase by more than $1. Central Missouri Community Action says this could really hurt its clients.
And the ones that I think about are the ones that's on a fixed income. They will not get an increase. However, their utility bill will now get an increase.
CMCA says federal funding from last month just helped about 300 people. Koopminers applied for their aid but didn't get it.
People can't hardly afford their electricity now. What are they going to do?
She says all she can do now is apply again in the next few months. Residents can apply for aid with an application like this starting in mid-September. I spoke with two men who say they're out thousands of dollars after selling a dock, and they didn't see trouble coming. Tim Hare says everybody knows everybody at the lake, but he says he didn't know Dan Francis. Now he wishes he had asked some people who do know him.
All I get every time I bring this name up of Dan Francis is eyes rolling, people looking at me going, oh my.
Hare and his business partner, Tim Campbell, buy and sell property on the side. They say they got this 17-well dock from a condominium resort company and sold it through Dock Realty.
We listed the dock with somebody that you hear on the radio all the time and claims to have a very high rating standing of business.
Dock Realty connected Campbell and Hare with Dan Francis's company, Dock Brokers.
At that point, I'm thinking, he is moving right along. He is getting things done, like he says.
But that was back in January. Campbell and Hare signed a contract on January 17th to sell the dock to Francis for $27,000, asking for $7,000 right then to go into escrow. But Campbell and Hare say by January 23rd, there was still no money in escrow.
I'd say the first red flag was when we missed our first date.
Dock Realty did issue a check for the $7,000 in early February, but that was after what was supposed to be the closing date, January 21st, when the full payment was due. So the parties amended the contract to extend the closing date to March 15th. Despite the new document, Hare and Campbell were nervous.
We're getting the runaround again, which is all we ever seem to get.
The new terms also gave Francis and dock brokers the right to take possession of the dock and break it up to sell it before paying in full. Francis did take the dock when it was attached to this platform in Lynn Creek and moved it to Standing Rock Cove. But Campbell and Hare say they never got another payment after that. They say they've since made several attempts to collect the final payment, and they're not the only ones. We found Missouri CaseNet reports showing pending criminal charges for theft, including one for property or services worth $25,000 or more against Francis and his companies. One of those companies, Ozark Village Contracting, went under in 2010. According to the Camden County Assessor, Francis has called in and signed personal property declarations for Ozark Village Contracting. The Camden County Collector also says Ozark Village Contracting owes more than $1,000 in personal property taxes in the last 2 years. And court records show Francis owes Harris Home Interiors in Camdenton more than $10,000.
I got the document that says so.
Tim King's business decorated Francis's home and never got paid for it.
Is the court going to collect the money for us? And they go, no, you have to collect the money. So, well, we can't get any money out of him. That's been the problem all along.
King can't just go repossess the items he furnished in the home because
he sold the home furnished with our things in it to someone else who does not want to give them up, of course.
King also showed us this flyer he saw in Osage Beach a few years ago, warning people against doing business with Francis. Despite these cases, Francis volunteers as a judge for the high school DECA program, a program to prepare students for a career in business. Francis asked me to contact a supervisor he worked with at DECA to vouch for his character, and I did, finding a supervisor who told me Francis has provided good service to the organization for about 30 years. Francis refused multiple requests from me to talk on camera about the deal with Campbell and Hare and the other judgments and suits against him. But he told me in an email the two agreed to only accept the initial $7,000. Francis says the dock was in poor condition and only worth that much, and that the Lynn Creek campground wanted it out of the water there. Campbell and Hare deny these claims. No one at Dock Realty would speak to me on camera either, but its attorney emailed to say the company advised Campbell and Hare not to accept the addendum's terms. Campbell says the two never heard this warning. Dock Realty also said Campbell and Hare failed to sign a listing agreement with the company. I showed what Dock Realty says is the document to them to find out why.
This is the first time I've ever seen this. I mean, I never gave him a mailing address.
Dock Realty said it's not liable for the unpaid balance. Francis said in his email he has not filed bankruptcy and is trying to solve outstanding issues with vendors and clients. As for Campbell and Hare, they wrote a statement to the Camden County Sheriff's Department.
We turned it into the deputy, and hopefully they're going to be able to get it to the prosecutor, and the prosecutor will stop this from happening to anyone else.
The Sheriff's Department refused to comment on the case.
I will probably really change my whole outlook on how a lot of this is conducted with people. You know, I will probably remain to sell it on my own from now on.
Campbell and Hare also don't understand why Dock Realty didn't have them meet with Francis in person to sign neither the original contract nor the addendum. The two say they're not interested in seeing the dock's current state. They just want the rest of their money.